Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Came into 100 to go. I saw the clock was like at 14 seconds till it was at 4:20. I was like, I got to kick it in. And when I saw that, I was like, I know this is going to be a close one.
Junior runs, and Vinny hits it deep to right field. Hooking into the corner. Gone for a game-tying home run.
0-2, a pitch that I'm sure Tonkin would like to have back.
Home road doesn't make any difference. I mean, we'd much rather be 9-1 than 1-9, but you got to play the teams that are on your schedule when you play them. You don't get to pick and choose that, and quite frankly, it's the big leagues every night.
I'm going to take Odell for, at his word where he said he was given no assurances by Lamar that he would be back there. Look, business is business. He understands that better than anyone. I mean, we'd be foolish not to think that Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome and Steve Bisciotti and the rest of the ownership group was not trying to kind of bridge the gap.
First off, congratulations to Jamal for being back. You know what I mean? There's 2 postseasons that he did not play. It seems like eons ago when we were in the bubble and he was doing his thing. So that's number one for me. I'm just so thankful that he's...
McKinnon at the middle. McKinnon darting through. McKinnon holds, shoots, score! You've got to be kidding me! Nathan McKinnon!
Where Jalen Hurts was this time last year. Last year we were asking, can Jalen Hurts actually be the guy? Not just a franchise guy, but a guy that can deliver a Super Bowl? Well, guess what? He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. And he deserves every single bit of that contract.
And welcome into Sports Day here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Tuning in on a Monday here, ready to get things rolling. Sports Day, of course, sponsored by Barton Community College. Train for a new career at Barton Community College in areas like carpentry, network security, or pharmacy tech. Learn more at gobarton.com. Ready for a big sports day on Monday here, boys?
Anything happen this weekend?
Oh, we got plenty, and we'll be covering it all. Of course, well, not of course. Out of the office this week is the irreplaceable Steve Webster. So your host here this afternoon, I'm Aaron Clark. Sitting down with my 2 favorite Mikes, Mike Corson, Mike Hesher, both here on the call with me. Boys, how are you feeling today?
I'm thinking Webby's not irreplaceable because we're going to be able to pull this off with him not here.
It won't have quite the same pizzazz as it does when Webby's here.
You mean quite the same grouchiness?
You're working on your gravitas.
I just got to get better at presenting. I will say, it is kind of nice being able to sit here in the host chair, not having someone standing over my shoulder going, why aren't you nervous? Why aren't you more nervous? Why aren't you worried about this?
That was the funniest thing.
I was going to say, well, on Friday, Webby's in here asking me all these, why aren't you more nervous? Man, I'm cool as a cucumber over here. I'm just sitting down with 2 pals to talk about some local sports.
His comment was, you're making me nervous because you're not nervous. I was like, come on.
That's just how we roll here in the Mayo Money Management Studios. Got a full show coming up for you guys. We'll be talking to Trevor Rolfs from Barton, talking all things Barton sports, along with Jim Masunas, who'll be covering everything from the Golden Belt sports. And then last but not least, our very own Mike Corson will be going on the prowl with head Great Bend Panther track coach Elias Lashley. But before all that, we'll get into our sounds of the past 24 hours or so. That first one you heard from, courtesy of Caden Esfeld, Great Bend High senior, who was able to break a 55-year-old record in the 1,600-meter run for the Panthers. Caden set a time of 4 minutes, 20 seconds, 74 seconds, or 4 minutes, 20.74 seconds, I should say. And Corson, you and me were both at that meet. You actually had to dip out slightly earlier than you would have liked to cover some severe weather here at the station, but you did get to see Esfeld set that record pace. And what were your thoughts on that?
It's shocking that that thing lasted for 55 years. We've had some Division I kids come through. We had Jack Bowman's teams had some great distance kids. So I guess probably about, 2 laps in, we figured out something special was going on. Lashley's going crazy. I thought it was either too hot or too windy for something like that. But, evidently coming down the stretch, he's able to see the clock and realizes he has to find that extra gear and makes it by 0.16 seconds.
And he talked about being able to see the clock. I don't know how he didn't hear Lashley yelling at him when he was on the second lap. I was there doing PA for the tournament. I was around Lashley for a lot of it. there was a different level of excitement to Lyles when he realized Caden was on the verge.
And what's cool is they had pre-planned that out. Obviously, 65 times 4 is going to be 420 on the nose. But if you've ever tried to walk 20 feet within the same second, you know how tricky it is. So he's doing 4 laps, being tired, running to speed. And he was doing it by himself. Garden City was here. I barely made it to the KU relays on Saturday. And Devin Chappell, the Garden City kid, who they go back and forth. That would have been cool to have them both here, both acknowledging that we're going to make a record push today. And he would have had some competition to maybe go even faster.
And that is something I thought about. And perks to all the athletes who were competing there, but Caden was alone coming down on that home stretch. And I'm sure he's still competing very hard with himself, but it would have been a little easier if he had someone kind of on his heels, maybe to push him that extra little bit, but still a 55-year-old record being broken like that. Incredible mark for Mr. Esfeld. It actually stands currently as the 3rd fastest time in KSHSAA this year. So impressive mark for the great Ben Sr. And rumor has it, word on the streets, he'll be in studio tomorrow talking to us about that record, about his running future and everything else. So a little sneak peek at tomorrow's sports day for you.
Does he get to drive down here, or is it faster just to run?
Honestly, with the park, depending on where he gets parked, the high school's not that far away. We could get a little practice in on the way. Who knows? We'll have to pitch that to Coach Lashley this afternoon. Also, in these sounds of the past 24 hours, moving over to the Royals baseball side of thing, Hesher wasn't the best weekend for you as the Royals went 0-3 against the Braves. However, the first 2 games, not necessarily close. First one 10-3, second one 9-3. Last night's contest, a bit closer, 5-4, as you heard the call, as Pasquantino was able to hit a ball deep into right field that actually tied up the game for the Royals, 4-4 in the 7th inning. However, Atlanta would go on to score that game-winning run in the 9th. Strauss drops the Royals to 4-12 overall, including 1-9 at home. Hesh, what do we got to do to get some more wins at Kauffman?
Field a better team? I'm not sure. My thing is, okay, they went into this, they know where they stand. We know that the Royals need a lot of work because they got soundly defeated in 2 games. Yes, they did come close in the 3rd one, but that young team has a lot of work to do. I hope they can pull it off. It's looking like a year or 2 before maybe they're really competitive, but it's I hope they can pull it off.
I had my headphones going, so I have the game on. I think it was a 1-2 count, so I just started to doze back off, and I popped back to, and Pasquantino had hit that home run with a 2-strike count. You get your hopes up for a short second. Then I believe it was Scotty Barlow that came in, and the rest is history.
There was a guy who called the Trading Post this morning, goes, they need to trade Scott Barlow, because, I was like, well.
These 2. Earlier in the game, Edward Olivares, he gets moved around a lot, was playing right. Do you know how bad a play you have to make to draw ire from Rex Hudler? So even Rex said, I'm sorry to be negative, but this is the big leagues. I'm like, wow. It was pretty ugly. I think it led to 2 runs. Just let a ball get under his glove.
And it kind of sounds like you guys are echoing what we heard from Royals manager Matt Quatrero there in the sounds of the past 24 hours, talking about how it's easy to look at the Royals being 1-9 at home, but he doesn't think you can really focus on where you're playing. The team just needs to focus inside, work on what they can control, not necessarily worry about who they're facing on the mound or in the field or at the plate. Royals just need to step up and really focus playing on their brand of basketball, develop some youth.
That's what some teams were saying about the Tampa Bay Rays when they were 13-0, and they're like, oh, they played all these weak teams. All you can do is play the teams in front of you, and, good teams beat bad teams. You want to keep them bad. The old saying is you want to keep a losing team losing.
Exactly. And, to the Rays' credit, they are still, I believe, undefeated in the United States.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right.
They went to Canada. Maybe their mojo doesn't travel over international borders, but still undefeated in the States. However, the Rays, we did comment on that historic streak, did lose 2 games to the Blue Jays over the weekend. Not off to the greatest start in baseball history anymore.
Well, and so you can say, oh, Kansas City's played some pretty good teams, and maybe they have, but, man, you're developing a mindset, and it's going to get stuck in your head that, hey, at home, we're 1-9. Hey, guess what? We're playing half our games. It's just going to be tough to break out of.
And as you talked about, what's that do for the fans? Why am I going to go out to the stadium when they're 1-9? I can spend my money elsewhere.
And then I feel like that kind of compounds on itself because then you start losing that home field advantage. What makes home is the fans. If you're not winning at home, you don't get the fans there. You just lose more. Hard to right that ship, but hopefully the Royals can't.
What was it, 2013? We almost made the playoffs. It was fun. Guy walks off a grand slam to end the season. We didn't know they were going to go to the series in 14, but that crowd, I think it was that year they voted in all the All-Stars, started to get amped up. What do you know? We had 2 winning seasons. But yeah, you go there now, and it's kind of like a funeral.
It's crazy what fans can do for a team. But moving right along, we got to hear from ESPN insider Louis Riddick talking about how the Ravens signing Odell Beckham Jr., not necessarily a guarantee that they'll get Lamar. I do think it's important to note that he would potentially be the best number 1 option that Lamar has had. That's not necessarily a incredibly high bar to clear. However, OBJ does bring a lot of star power and a big name to the Ravens offense. Maybe it's enough to get Lamar back and leave the Ravens as a contender in the AFC.
I think Lamar calls some of the other teams and says, "What do you think about this guy?" And then he says, "Yep, give me my plane ticket."
I saw reports that he wanted the Ravens to either get Odell Beckham Jr. or DeAndre Hopkins. And I feel like those are 2 interesting receivers because I feel like Hopkins has been more of that elite top-tier receiver in the more recent future. Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't made a Pro Bowl in the past 6 years. I think people get this idea that he was a lot more dominant early on in his career. He doesn't have 7,500 receiving yards yet. And don't get me wrong, he's had some injuries, had some other just personal issues keeping him off the field. But people are acting like this should automatically sway Lamar, like the team's committed to you, bringing in wide receiver talent around you to build around you. I don't know. I think they could have gotten someone a little better maybe, but we'll have to see if the Baltimore Ravens can still be a thorn in the Chiefs' side.
You make a couple highlight catches, you have some sweet hair, and you strut your feathers, and evidently that is the key to success.
And it definitely didn't help that he was playing in New York, the biggest market in all of sports, and he was the headliner for the Giants. Especially they had QB Eli Manning there, Ned Flanders of quarterbacks back there. But nothing wrong with him, just very not going to grab the New York headlines, and OBJ stepped into that role. I'm excited to see what he can do with the Ravens this year because I do think he could get back to that top tier wide receiver. Definitely be better than what Rashad Bateman and Sammy Watkins have been the past couple of years for the Ravens. However, still got to get Mr. Jackson back in the building and back signed.
Ned Flanders turned Chad trying out for Penn State.
Yes. Back to Eli Manning taking a trip up to Penn State, working out as a potential quote-unquote quarterback prospect with a ton of makeup on.
Dude's funny.
He's a funny guy. Can't deny that. But I am interested to see how the Lamar Jackson thing shakes up, especially with the NFL draft coming up this month in about 10 days. It'll happen on the 17th. Suddenly, those 2 first-rounders that a team would have to give up for signing Lamar becomes a lot more feasible after the draft. And then moving right along, we heard from head coach of the Denver Nuggets, Mike Malone, talking about Jamal Murray, who's missed the past 2 playoffs for the Nuggets after tearing his ACL in April of 2021. He missed the final 18 games of that Nuggets season and then the entirety of last season recovering from that knee injury. However, last night, Murray able to put up 24 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists as he led the Nuggets to a victory over the Timberwolves 108-80 or 109-80. Impressive showing from Murray, especially coming off that ACL tear in basketball. So tricky to tell how they're going to be able to come back from that, but good to see for the Nuggets point guard.
It is, and he's the key to the Nuggets. I mean, obviously you got Jokic, who's a stud, triple-double machine every night, and then you got Michael Porter Jr., all this other stuff, but, it's all about Jamal Murray for them if they want to go far.
I knew he watched the NBA. I knew it.
I watched the Nuggets. I pay attention to the Nuggets. Of course, what about this? I complain about the Major League Baseball start time of postseason games. That game from the Nuggets last night started at 9:30.
No, I was talking.
Are you kidding
ready
me?
For bed. I was talking to one of my buddies, and I was like, "Man, I thought, I can't remember what game was the 7 o'clock game last night, but I was like, I thought the Nuggets was on tomorrow. Like I thought they were the 7 o'clock game tomorrow. They were the late game.
That
I
was
didn't even
8:30 in Denver. It started. How many kids got to see that game? Oh, okay.
A shame. But to your point, talking about Jamal Murray really being key and vital for the Nuggets, I do think a lot of attention gets thrown onto Nikola Jokic. It should be. He's a tremendous player, coming off of 2 MVPs back-to-back. However, having Jamal Murray out there on the floor for the Nuggets raises what their second level can be, because like you said, Michael Porter Jr., he's a great spot-up shooter, and he's an adequate defender. However, having to rely on him to be your second option, you can tell it's not good. Murray not only provides that scoring option, but the 8 assists, he actually averaged 6 assists over this season. Shows you Murray's out there distributing, creating shots for other players as well as himself.
Totally agree.
Glad we can get some NBA in here this week while Webby's out. Also, in the sounds of the past 24 hour, some hockey there as the NHL regular season came to a conclusion on Friday. We got to hear we got to hear Mark Moser, rather, on the call as Nathan McKinnon split 2 Nashville Predator defenders before he was able to weave by the goalie and dish in a sweet backhanded wrister.
So I'll never be a radio DJ, but I can still take requests. Our guy, Brandon Smith from Barton SID office, says, check out this call. So he actually wanted the radio call, but we can't find it anywhere. But the TV call, pretty good. And it was an exceptional play.
I was going to say, I was scouring this morning looking for the radio call on it, man. I was in the dredges of the ESPN audio files, but could not find it. However, I did watch it. I didn't know that you could just go by 2 guys like that in hockey the way McKinnon did on that play. I thought you'd get shoulder checked or something, especially being able to control the puck, like send it in a way that dashed it through the legs of the left defender before skirting right between them. An incredible play from McKinnon as the Stanley Cup playoffs.
You know, a soccer keeper would have come off his line and stopped that.
He would have. Maybe got to work some new techniques into the NHL, courtesy of goalie guru Mike Corson here on Sports Day. The Avs will be starting their Stanley Cup playoff hopes tomorrow against the Seattle Kraken. Kraken in just their second season. An impressive outing for the expansion team.
You talk about regional mascots. When they came out with that, that's top 5.
It's got to be. The Kraken, especially in Seattle, it can't beat that. And then probably the biggest news of the day so far.
Folks, this made Aaron's day. He was stressing all day, and then this one just made his day.
You should have seen me around the studio. I was taking a victory lap like I got the contract extension. However, quarterback Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles able to come to a 5-year, $255 million contract extension this morning that makes Hurts the highest paid player in NFL history with $179.3 million in total guarantees and the first no-trade clause in Eagles history. That, I think, is a huge point of this extension. Not only is it a lot of money, it's the second most guarantees ever behind the quarterback who signed to Cleveland a few years ago. It's the second most guarantee, or the second most in cash value behind Mahomes' $450 million deal signed in 2020. And Hurts, that no-trade clause really shows you the Eagles are all in on building around Hurts. It's something they didn't even give Carson Wentz when they originally had him and were looking like he was their quarterback of the future. However, this season, Hurts did throw for career highs and run for career highs with 3,701 yards, 22 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, 760 rushing yards, 13 more touchdowns there. Impressive outing, and only 24 years old, so, you know, only a little bit older than I am. What's my payday going to be when I turn 24 around here, guys? Hesher, is that something you can get on, or?
You're in trouble.
I don't care if he runs to the moon and tackles the Martian guy. That's $250 million, not in a career, in a 5-year stretch. When are these leagues going to start paying everybody's cable bill?
Honestly, it's a large amount of money that can actually go up in value depending on if he hits certain incentives. I wasn't able to get a list of what all of those incentives were this year. I do believe there were some playoff-related ones, like if the Eagles advance to a certain marks in the playoffs, he gets bonus money. But excited to see, especially with an NFC, that the top of the NFC quarterback crop, not necessarily looking great. One of the other best rosters in that conference, the 49ers, a lot of question marks at the top. We'll have to see what they're able to do, but Jalen Hurts securing his bag. And that is going to lead us right into our first break. Stick around right here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM for more Sports Day right after this.
Barton Community College enrollment days are back. Registration is now available for all sessions through July 26th. Make the enrollment process fun, fast, and simple. Reserve your spot to get everything set up for the fall semester in just one day. Visit with an academic and financial advisor, enroll in classes, take a tour of campus, and more. Visit enroll.bartonccc.edu to sign up.
If you're not filling with Cenex Premium Diesel, then you're not giving your fuel system the premium treatment. Cenex Roadmaster XL comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn, while restoring your power by up to 4.5% and your fuel economy by up to 5%. Typical number 2 diesel? I guess it covers the basics. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact American Plains Co-op in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Springtime savings now at Boone's Maytag Home Appliance Center. Maytag quality, dependable service, great prices, 0% financing until April 24th. Washing machines starting at $5.99. Refrigerators starting at $7.99. Boone's and Maytag. You can depend on us. 10th and Jackson, Great Bend. Shop their website at boonsmaytag.com.
You can't buy better than Boone's. Be our guest.
Hey everyone, Trey Bergen here with Ag 360 Insurance. As storm season approaches and with prices quickly rising, making sure you have enough coverage on your irrigation systems is very important. At Ag 360 Insurance, we have multiple carriers that offer competitive rates and great coverage. We'd appreciate an opportunity to earn your business. Feel free to stop by our office in St. John or give us a call at 620-549-3579. You can also check us out online at ag360insurance.com.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
And welcome back to Sports Day this afternoon. I'm Aaron Clark, filling in for the illustrious Steve Webster today. Joining us in studio now, the athletic director for Barton Community College, Mr. Trevor Rolfs, in studio with us. How you doing today, Trevor?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Oh, just dandy. I getting to host the show, getting to drive Dad's car. You know, when you're a teenager.
Is this the first day you're lead host today?
This is the first day I'm lead host without Webby over my shoulder asking me, "Well, are you worried about this?
So this is the real deal. It's like opening day for this guy.
It is. It's like I'm fresh on the mound, you know, ready to throw out the first pitch. Just try not to bounce it over first plate or home base.
There you go. Opening day. I love it.
Oh, well, we're just going to get right into it here with you. Some Barton sports that really deserve some attention will start in the winter season before moving into what's, quite frankly, been a very successful spring season already. However, a lot of teams, a lot of athletes to cover with those basketball programs. What side do you want to start on, men's or women's?
We'll just start with, winter sports. We got men's basketball, women's basketball, bowling, swimming, wrestling, esports. That's just it. If we had all day, we could probably mention something about all of them, but we'll try to hit some highlights for sure.
And so
we'll start with whatever you want to start with.
We'll go ahead and start with, I think, what's maybe on the forefront of everyone's mind, the women's basketball team advancing pretty far in the postseason down in Lubbock. Were they down in Lubbock?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. I knew they were down where the airport has two big armadillos out front. So,
our women's basketball team had been in the region championship game 4 straight years. Certainly, Coach Clark, our leader and a great man and a great leader, trying to get over that hump, and get a team qualified. He's had some great teams and does a wonderful job, and Coach Griffin alongside with him. And certainly we've had a lot of special players throughout these past 4 years, but haven't been able to, as they say, punch our ticket to the national tournament. And we were able to do that this year and get down to Lubbock. Unfortunately, we didn't play very well in that first round game, still had multiple opportunities to win and lost in double overtime, but doesn't take away from a wonderful season for our women's basketball team. Again, a wonderful group of young ladies,
couldn't be more proud of the season that they had, which is frankly one that will go down as one of the best in the history of the college.
And, you know, you mentioned Coach Clark. Apart from just having an impeccable last name, no relation, he does an incredible job recruiting those smaller towns. Do you ever make any trips out there with him to some of these smaller where he's had some success, or do you let him handle that?
I don't make any trips anymore, but I've been around a long time. You know, spent 8 years teaching and coaching at the high school level, and, you know, played at Bethany College NAIA level, and coached at the junior college level, AD now at the junior college level the last 12 years. My daughter played at the NCAA Division II level. I mean, I know a lot of people through coaching and administrating, officiating, and sometimes it's nice to, you know, he gets on a player or any of our coaches get on a player, and they're from a small town, there's probably a pretty good chance that I know them or know some family or friends or something. So that's been kind of a neat connection. And, of course, Coach Clark and I have known each other for a long, long time. But, yeah, certainly enjoy his recruiting prowess and his insistence on, you know, the Kansas recruit. And it's been an important part of not only our women's basketball program, but many of our others at the college.
And obviously, we could spend a lot of time talking about this women's basketball team. We got a lot of Barton sports to cover today, so we're going to go ahead and roll right over to the men's, talking about Coach Combs and what he was able to do with that program this year.
Had a great year. You know, last year we had a couple things that didn't go our way that kind of kept us from having an over-the-top year. Still had a good season in Jeremy's first year here. And this year we kind of were able to take that next step, and was, as many people know, the last team out. You know, you always got your first four in, first four out when you're talking about NCAA tournament with the NJCAA. Most all of us certainly were biased here at Barton, but felt like our men's team should have been in the national tournament without question. That's a whole hour show to talk about all of that. But disappointment at the very, very end, but certainly making the region championship game. Finishing third, tied for second actually in the conference, and one game out of winning it all. Our men's team had a great year, and again, a team full of great kids, a good number of Kansas kids as a part of that roster and that rotation as well. And Coach Combs and Coach Franz and Coach Downing, all class guys who've done a wonderful job in their first 2 years, and I'm very, very excited for the future of the men's basketball program.
And so after having two women's season that saw them make that postseason tournament and a men's just come up short, how does that impact the feeling around the college?
Oh, I think it's a good feeling. And I have a good feeling, and we'll talk about that good feeling because it's not just a couple sports that do well at Barton. And I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. You're only as good as those you surround yourself with. And I've got an unbelievable staff who do an unbelievable job. And that's why all of our programs are very, very successful.
And speaking about some of those other sports programs, some that maybe are a little underappreciated, don't get as much attention from the mainstream public or anything like that. You brought up the Barton bowling team. Tell us a little bit about how our Cougar Bowlers did this year.
Our Cougar Bowlers did really, really well again, just outside the top three in the nation on both men and women. Coach Perry, again, a great Bend guy who taught and coached at the high school level here for a number of years, has done a wonderful job with our program. And like you say, our basketball teams get a lot of the media coverage, and deservedly so. But certainly our other tier programs are doing very, very well. And Mike has put together a very strong roster comprised of mostly Kansas kids, and has done super, super well over the past 5 years with our bowling teams, men and women.
And it's always fun to see Kansas kids getting those opportunities at the next level, regardless of where it's at. Speaking of that, with the Barton wrestling team, obviously some changes come to that as you have former head Great Bend wrestling coach Nathan Brockelman taking over that program. Can you give us a brief wrap of how the wrestling season went this year, and then maybe a glimpse into the future there led by Brockelman?
Well, first of all, we're very excited to have Nathan on board. Class act, another class act guy. Obviously got some great Kansas ties and connections, and, you know, a program that had struggled for a couple years. And when you have 22 sports programs, you're likely going to have a program or two that, dips, and it can happen with any of our programs. But, we were small in numbers, but we did send 2 to nationals this year. So comparatively speaking, the number of kids that had some postseason success was good. But I'm like our basketball programs and our bowling and any of them that we could mention today, I'm very excited about the direction our wrestling program will go under Nathan's leadership.
And it's hard not to be excited with what he's done at Great Bend High School, but moving over into, or any more winter sports you run to.
Oh, we still have swimming.
Swimming, there. I knew I was missing one. And how could I forget spending so much time around that pool?
Yeah, we, another program who's got great leadership, Matt Gilbert, in his third year. It all runs together, so I could be wrong on the years, but I'm thinking it's third. Matt's done a great job, and his wife, Ramon, helping out, who's now, the head coach at the high school, has done a superb job in kind of assisting Matt on the side. But our women finished third in the nation this year, and our men were very, very competitive as well, just outside of the top three. And so, again, in the overall scope of things, a very, very productive and successful year for our swim program.
It's great to hear, especially swim, so hard to get out to, sometimes so hard to watch, just because with all the races going on, starting at different times. Nice to see a team have some success, regardless of where they're at. So moving over into the spring sports, want to start with the baseball team. Been having an incredible season. Believe they've lost, are they up to 5 only on the season?
I believe so. High 30s and 5. I can't keep track. I know we're up to number 7 in the nation, and we took 3 or 4 from Butler this last week. And Coach Biggs, again, a local product, a Barton guy, had been in the program as a player and as assistant, and in his pitching coach, Coach McBride and Coach Grover and Coach Marinari on the volunteer basis. They've done a great job. Coach Biggs, again, has surrounded himself with great people, a very strong numbered program. And as we talk about Kansas Kids, another program that is very, very strong in its roster numbers with Kansas kids that have done well for our baseball program, not only this year, but in previous years. But having a special season so far, and I hope the baseball team can keep it up.
And, talking about the baseball team, they play with an aggressive style. We've had Coach Biggs in here a couple times to talk about it. Does that translate anyway? Does Coach Biggs kind of bring that energy, that aggressive style?
He does. I think your teams are always going to be a reflection of their coach. If your coach is aggressive and what kind of a demeanor that they coach with and act with, I think the teams normally take on that demeanor. And so, again, Coach Biggs has always been a winner. He provides that, within his program, and I think his kids take that on.
And, moving over to the softball side of things, softball team had been doing pretty well. Hit a bit of a slide here recently before being able to split a doubleheader with Colby over the weekend. How's the softball team been doing so far this year in your eyes?
They're doing great. Carson DeBose afforded the opportunity to move from assistant coach to head coach, late in the game in August. And so, that's a hard transition for a young coach that's never been a head coach. And I think she's done a wonderful job in handling that. And our softball team is doing well and are making a strong push, even though, like you said, we've lost a couple here of late, but looking to make a strong push as we move to the playoffs.
And does it make it a little bit easier for you having that continuity going from an assistant coach to a head coach? DeBose knew the expectations, knew the culture surrounding Barton. Does it make that transition any easier?
It does. It does. Again, her being a part of our village, I guess, for lack of better words, has been helpful, and she understands the expectations and has faced those head on. And again, a great group of kids, a tremendous group of kids, a great number of Kansas kids on our softball roster as well, doing very good things.
And coming up for Barton tennis, we have the Region 6 tournament. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we will host the region tournament. There's only 4 teams in our conference that play tennis, so that's Cali and Seward and Pratt and us. And coming up this Friday and Saturday, weather permitting, it looks pretty good right now. I looked over the week. I've looked about every day. It seemed to change, but it looks pretty good now. So we'll host those 3 schools here in Great Bend Friday and Saturday for the region championships, with the top 3 finishers being able to go on and qualify then for nationals.
It's an impressive season. Those games going to be at the Shannon Sharts courts?
Yes, Vets, and both our men's and women's tennis teams are ranked 6th in the country, and so they're having a wonderful season as well. Coach Stickney, again, a Barton product, local guy, doing an amazing job with our tennis program.
It's always, especially I played some tennis back in my early high school years. It's always fun to get out and watch a little bit of netball, you know.
Absolutely.
Especially fun when they're having success like the Barton team is so far this year.
And he's got great kids, you know, and I can say that about all of our teams. And again, it goes back to the coaches and how they're running their programs. Just tremendous kids and great attitudes and great people, and you always like to see good kids have success.
I got one question for you, Coach, and it's kind of I don't know, it's local as well, but your daughter played for Tony Hobson, and Tony has retired from Fort Hays, and I know Tony coached down here for a while. Your quick thoughts on Tony Hobson?
The proof's in the pudding. You know, he's been an amazing coach in terms of win-loss record and success everywhere he's been. You know, the national championships at Hastings and you know, everything he's done there at Fort Hays, the winningest coach of all time there. And
they just couldn't get over that hump in a couple of those.
No, and my daughter was a part of that. I firmly believe that we had the best team in the country when Taylor was a junior, and that still bites to this day that we came up short in the region championship, and then that team went on to the national.
Well, he also had some very untimely injuries to his point guards that just were killers for them.
Losing Carly that year was tough.
Yep.
And that's what was crazy, though. We lost Carly Heim out of Hoxie, who was our undisputed leader and point guard. But at the same time, even when Carly went down, we had that good a team.
Reagan was there, and your daughter, obviously.
Yeah, and so you know, Tony's just been outstanding everywhere he's been, and Hayes is going to truly miss him. Hopefully, Talia can keep the tradition going there. But anytime a guy of that caliber resigns, you got a big hole to fill and big shoes to fill, as they say.
I believe we have just a few more sports to wrap up for Barton.
We do. We're knocking them off my list here.
As I say, we don't have a lot of time, though, because Jim is here.
Not a whole lot of time, but talk about the golf team.
We got golf and track and field left, and esports, actually. We got 3. Esports is kind of a winter sports, even though they go all year long. And you know, we have had an esports program just basically explode. And Coach Rose has done a wonderful job, another Barton guy who had been in the system, and esports is kind of hitting the very tail end of their playoff season now, and so excited for what Coach Rose has done in that team. Our golf teams are currently playing in Newton right now. Women are ranked 7th in the country. Our men are ranked 18th in the country. So our golf programs are doing very, very well, and their regional play is also coming up here in the very near future. So we want to wish, you know, they're playing regional now and more regional to come before they head to the national tournament. And last but certainly not least, our track and field teams, both ranked 2nd in the country. Back to the Hobson comment, the proof's in the pudding there. You know, Coach Sinek, year in, year out, got a team vying for a national championship or 2. And so I think this segment will go a long ways in helping people understand just how much is going on at Barton Community College Athletics.
Especially
and we're trying to squeeze it into 13 minutes.
We've got more than a handful of ranked teams, but we are out of times. Trevor, we'll have to have you on. You hear from Trevor Rolfs, Athletic Director for Barton Community College. Stay right here. More Sports Day right after this.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Ryan, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
When you need to get rid of the pain, you want the best. You need to see Dr. Dan Quillen at Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the Fieldhouse at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
You're ready for any task, and you expect the same from your tractor.
No matter the job, there's a Case IH Farmall tractor ready to work as hard as you do. With easy operation, an exceptional operating environment, and more standard features that enhance productivity, Farmall tractors deliver the power and flexibility to knock out chores and keep going. Stop by Can-Equip in Great Bend and find a Farmall to meet the demands of your operation.
Can-Equip you.
Whether you're fighting a fever or think you need stitches, let the experienced team at the University of Kansas Health System Convenient Care Walk-In Clinic care for you. They can treat any minor illness or injury without an appointment. Hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. For quality care when you need it, visit the Convenient Care Walk-In Clinic at St. Rose Medical Pavilion in Great Bend. Learn more at kansashealthsystem.com/Great Bend.
He's a veteran of high school and college sports coverage in Kansas. Sports Day presents the Great Bend Tribune's Jim Mizunas.
Well, at first, I thought they were talking about me as a vet. I thought it was a cut up for a veteran. I was after, well, that's Webby's. But Jim Mizunas in studio with us, a veteran of high school and college sports in Kansas. Jim, how you doing today?
Hey, doing great.
I'm glad you decided to still come in. Webby not being here, you're rolling with the bullpen broadcaster here today, but glad to have you in here. Excited to talk some sports. I'm going to start off with the, what do you want to start off with today?
Well, we want to congratulate Lyles Lashley. Everybody's been waiting for rain for like 6 months, and Lyles track meet. Thank you, Lyles. Thank you for the rain. All the farmers are thanking you.
Very selfless move by the renowned Cajun chef Lyles Lashley scheduling that track meet. Unfortunately, like you said, couldn't quite get it finished there. Missed out on some top-tier competition. Got a little bit about the track meet for us, Jimbo.
Yeah, it was both a boys and girls side. Tremendous talent both in the field events and the running events. And it was a shame that we lost some of the hurdles events. And certainly the 1,600-meter relay would have been a showdown between Great Bend and Andale like it was last year. And but all in all, I mean, everybody had good efforts and good competition. That's what it's all about. That'll be the best competition that Great Bend will probably see until the regional and the state meet, because Andale's girls and boys are both legendary, and Wichita Carroll may be down somewhat, but they're still very competitive on the track and in the field events. And some of the Kansas relays people weren't there, but outstanding talent there. And yeah, it was a fun meet. And actually they were very lucky to dance around the weather. I mean, really, most of the weather was like 10 miles east of town. Ellenwood just got pounded for like 3 hours. So they were very fortunate to get in what they did.
And, you talked about some of the competition we saw. Speaking of Andale, seems like as long as they have a Fairchild there, they'll have a dominant track team. And it seems like there's been a Fairchild there almost forever.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think Andale's secret to success is they're well ahead of the game. They've treated their female athletes, hey, you're competitive, you're going to do the best you can. They're way ahead of the curve and have maintained that, because it's just a tradition that if you're out for Andale, name the sport, girls sport, softball, basketball, track, it doesn't matter. You're going to be competitive. And that's just the mindset that the girls in that town have. They just have a tremendous winning mindset and work hard for what they get.
And you talked about Bishop Carroll coming to town and then being down a little bit. As someone who's covered high school sports in Kansas for so long, how do you feel about the private schools coming and competing? What do you feel like they provide to the public schools?
Well, there's no doubt they provide tremendous competition, and they have an inherent advantage in that they can get their athletes from a wide range of school districts as opposed to what a normal high school can do. I mean, Great Bend will attract a student or two from outside their district, but the private schools have a huge advantage there. And I think in time, the multiplier will pass. Now, my personal opinion is that Wichita Collegiate shouldn't be penalized across the board for their tennis program winning 50-plus tennis championships. However, they have won also in boys golf and boys basketball. I think it should be a sport-by-sport thing, but I definitely think it's something that the state's obviously looking at it, and I think it'll pass in time. It just, like so many things in the political reign, it takes way longer than you think. That's for sure.
And we don't have to get too into it here. We got a lot of track to cover, especially a record-breaking performance from one Mr. Caden Esfeld in that 1,600-meter run. An impressive outing. Do you know anything? I don't know a whole lot about the previous record that was held at Great Bend High School. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
No, it was, in fact, if we want to get our little calculators out, I'm confounded by this 55 years because I do my math and subtract 1967 from 2023. My answer is 56 years. So I don't know where they're getting that 55 years from.
I was saying 55 because everyone was telling me 55. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a contradiction. Could be looking at a 56-year-old record for Mr. Esfeld, which even more impressive.
Yeah, that's right. It's even a year longer than we thought. I mean, I'm just doing the math. I mean, I subtract 2023 and get 1967. It's 56. I know you're a math expert, too.
Obvious. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Everyone who knows me knows I'm renowned for my math skills.
Because what was your Royals pick for losses?
Hesher's looking at it over there. Let's see.
He is right on target with a 56 and 106 mark.
Yes, looking sharp. So he's a numbers guy.
I was going to say, I play it out, but one of the things that really impresses me with Esfeld's record, all of the talent we've had, or all the track talent we've had roll through Great Bend High School, especially the one that comes to my mind, I graduated with him, Kirby Deppenbush ended up going to run at K-State for a little while. Even he wasn't able to break that mile record.
Yeah, Kirby's had a great career at Kansas State. He's top 10 in some of the cross-country races. Really is amazing that record would stand that long because they've had outstanding. Just looking through the records the other day, there was an athlete called Williams, and he was a 7-1 high jumper. Plus, he had the hurdles records. And so, obviously, that Williams was a tremendous athlete. But you either need competition in the race or you need perfect conditions, and it was neither. That's what's astounding about that. In a distance race, you need some competition to get that pace going, and then you also need perfect. It was not perfect. It was 80-plus degrees. The wind was moderate, but it wasn't like it was calm, so it wasn't perfect conditions by any means. So credit to Caden Esfeld. He's been an outstanding cross-country and track runner for 4 years, and anytime you can get a school record, I mean, hats off, because he got the regional record and the course record on the cross-country course at Lake Barton, and now he's got a high school record on the charts for the 1,600 meters. So, and Caden is always, those runners, sometimes they battle little nagging injuries, and you never know what's up with them, and Caden has fought that, but yeah, great bonus for Caden to get that record like that.
And you talked about some of the records. Not only does he hold the Great Bend High School mile time record, he actually holds the Jack Bowman Varsity Invitational record for our 1,600-meter run. He broke that record he actually held from last year, broke his own record. An incredible season so far for Mr. Esfeld, who I believe is set to attend Fort Hays State come fall and continue his athletic running career there.
Yeah, and it's always dicey when you try and get a relay with Caden if you can, and Coach Lashley has gone back and forth with that and had some success with that. But you really don't want to run more than 3 races. I mean, 800, 1,600, and then one more race. So Caden is definitely limited in that regard because you don't want to run too many races, that's for sure.
All right, well, we are just about out of time. But
one little tidbit was big softball game at Great Bend tomorrow. Great Bend softball, 5-0 in league, leading the league for the first time in years. It might be decades. They play Hays in a doubleheader, and they've beaten the Liberal and Dodge, which are the 2 worst teams, and they still have Garden and Hays, which are the next 2 teams in the league. So Great Bend is certainly hoping for a sweep, but they'll play 3 games against Hays this week and then 3 games against Garden City next week.
Some big contests coming up for Great Bend, both in terms of keeping their strong season going and in hopes of winning the WAC. That all you got for us today, Masunis?
Yes, sir, that is.
There we go. Well, thank you for coming in today, Jim. That was Jim Masunis here on our Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5. Stay right here. We've got more Sports Day right after this.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details,
work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
We had a lady that was having some severe back and hip pain, and we worked with her for about 6 to 7 weeks, and we were able to actually restore greater than 80% of her mobility, and we were able to keep her from actually needing that surgery for about 4 years.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN10 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's code ESPN10. Use code ESPN10 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Mike Corson, joined today by Panther track and field coach Lyles Lashley. Obviously, it was your time to shine Friday, and it shined for a little bit. And how disappointing we didn't get to see the finish of that meet.
Yeah, it was terrible. And the worst thing about it, we didn't really get rain. I mean, just sat there and lightning. And I think we would have been in a lightning delay to about 1 o'clock in the morning if we'd have waited. So it was disappointing. But there were some really good performances before we got lightninged out.
And speaking of right before almost the first lightning came through, Caden Esfeld, he says earlier this week you messaged him thinking the conditions might be ripe for a record run in the 1,600-meter run. Kind of what prompted that conversation? And
well, I thought with the time when he was getting ready to run, look at the weather forecast, look at the wind was going to die down for just a little bit, and lo and behold, the weathermen were actually right, and so it was made a good little run, and just for the goal was to go out in 65s, but he kind of went out a little too fast. He actually came through the 800 at 2:04, and then paid for it a little bit, but still was able to hang on to run fast enough to squeak in and get that school record.
And you've had some really good runners over the past few years even, and then to think this one goes back 55 years, how neat. I think he said he needed about 100 meters to go in about 14 seconds at the end. How awesome for him to actually get it done.
That's cool. It's a nice thing about it. It's kind of earlier in the season too, so that's kind of a notch on the belt, and he doesn't have to really worry about that one. Again, hopefully he'll get a chance to run even faster later on. But as you well know, with this good old Kansas win, you never know when you're going to get an opportunity to, and then what kind of race situation you're going to get in. So it's nice to get that done with for him.
Over on the girls' side, 4x8 starts out. Pretty healthy lead against Garden City. Garden City comes back and takes the lead back. How about Sienna Smith tracking down that girl to get you a gold early on in the meet?
It's nice to see a little freshman, with her, not many races under her belt, to go out there and be race savvy and be smart about it. And she gradually went tours and, did what she needed to do on there. So, just nice to see her step up like that.
Still on the girls' side, in the girls' 1,600, it was Addie Nicholson and a girl from Bishop Carroll kind of running neck and neck. Was that just being race savvy with that win, maybe drafting a little bit and then pulling away late?
Addie's kind of hates the mile of all things, and I think she finally went out there and gave it a good little effort. We knew going in that Brooke was going to run the 4x8 before, and we knew she was going to be on the Eliana's leg, so we told Eliana to go out and make her to wear her out a little bit, and so I think that's kind of helped Abby's confidence too going into the 1600. And it was about a 12-second PR for her, so we're excited that she came out and competed well and did good things there.
Talking to Panther track and field coach Lyles Lashley, Valerie Luna obviously broke the 42-year-old or 44-year-old record last week. Do we like to think that maybe she can consistently get 5.6 now and move up from there?
Well, we hope so. Her approach wasn't very good the whole meet, but being such a good athlete she is and such a competitor, she adapted and overcame and got cleared 5.6 on a bad day, which, like you said, that consistency on a bad day to clear 5.6, that's awesome. Because I know in the past that probably would have been a 5.2 or a 5-foot day, or even a 4.10 day, and she was very competitive and just adapted to it. And it was nice to see Sadie go 5.4 and even see Cassie go 5 foot. Poor Cassie was torn between going back and forth between the 4x8 and the high jump. So she did a great job of competing and doing that and going back and forth and doing well.
And maybe on the hurdle side, another loaded event with Hoisington, Andale. Maybe the 300s are Great Bend's stronger suit, but didn't get a win, but saw some really good competition in both the boys and girls side.
Well, Madison, if you throw out Wichita East last year, which something was wrong with their timer, as you well know, that was his lifetime PR, and it was into a slight headwind. I'll take 15-3 all day long. The ball kid ran an awesome race and competed well, and he's definitely a great athlete. So there's no shame in losing to him. And then Brainwood, she's struggled a little bit in the shorter hurdles, but she's getting better each week. The beginner hurdles definitely is her forte, but she's way ahead of where she was last year at this time there, and then her 4x4 split's been really good too so far.
Over in the field, Kendall Blessing, obviously the Andale girl, was up at Lawrence for the KU relays. Kendall and Macy took full advantage in the javelin.
Well, Kendall struggled to her last throw. I think one of her throws she actually threw 88 feet and didn't have a great day. And then finally, I think she just said, forget this. I'm not doing this in my last home meet, and she launched one out there and for the win. And Macy's been consistent all year right in that area. But I'm looking for Macy to launch a nice big one here soon too, because she's been doing some really good things in practice and warm-ups, and she's right around the edge of putting one together.
Maybe finally here, javelin, another loaded one. Andale, it seems like they load the field at state. The farmer girl from Hoisington was the state champ in 3A. And Katie gets 4th place there, but awesome loaded field for you.
Yeah, pole vault was definitely, both on the girls and the boys side, pole vault was definitely really good. The whole meet was just too bad we couldn't finish it because with all those schools there, and it was just a great track meet. For spectators, we had a really nice crowd out there too, so it was a shame it had to disappear.
And it's supposed to be in the 80s all week, and then what do we know, 60s for Friday when you were headed to Buhler? Headed to
Buhler. I'm sure it always works that way. I texted coach yesterday, so can we just change it to Thursday? We did this morning. I woke up, looked like the wind wasn't going to be as terrible as they originally said. So you never know; it might be snowing or it might be 110 by the time Friday comes here.
Well, good luck getting it in, and good luck when you get there.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for all you do.
More sports day after this.
Attention, Kansas high schoolers. Barton Community College wants to help you get ahead in your education and save money with new early college online savings. Starting March 20th, pay only $75 per credit hour on any Barton online course. That's a savings of up to $80. All online classes are eligible, including career technical and general education. Learn more at bartoncccc.edu/earlycollege.
At Next Tech Wireless, we know how important it is to stay connected. You can keep the whole family connected without breaking the bank. Now you can get up to 1, 2, 3, 4 lines for $100. And that's not all. Bring your number to us and get a $100 Visa gift card. Only at Next Tech Wireless, home on the range.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
This is Agriculture Today, and I'm Samantha